Hello, I hope you've been having a good week so far. We're kicking off a full mini series on Jesus' riddles, and we're having the messages brought to us by Alex Brown with his amazing visuals. I will hand over to Alex's message in a moment, but just to let you know that afterwards there's going to be a series of questions which, if you're in a group, you might want to discuss together. If you're by yourself, you might want to think through. We're going to put forward a number of questions about the message that Alex has shared. So feel free to pick and choose the questions you want to focus on. So now over to Alex.
Hey! So the greatest teacher the world has ever seen chose to teach mostly using stories. He called them parables. Today we might call them riddles, stories that are designed for adults to break down the way we operate and to show us different ways of thinking. Some of them gave new information, some of them challenged wrong ideas about what we think is socially normal, but all of them did what's called subvertive stuff. So they get under our skin, they niggle away at this, and they transform the world. This one I've called The Riddle of the Widow and the Judge. It's about prayer, it's about faith, it's about justice, and our response to people. I want to tell you the parable fast, and then we'll go through it again, and I'll ask you some questions about it. So strap yourselves in for the riddle of the widow and the judge. Right, so here's the story. Once there was a city. In that city there lived a judge. He neither had respect for God nor respect for people. In the same city there was a woman who's a widow. She needed the judge's help to get her justice against a person who's causing her no end of grief. Day after day she keeps coming to the judge, and he's having none of it. Finally, after she kept on coming back again and again and again, she broke him. And he said, "Okay, I'll give you justice if you just stop coming back to see me." Jesus finishes the story with this. So I tell you, keep on praying and don't give up, because God is not like that judge. But one day when I come back again, he said, will I find people on earth who have faith? So, how do we unpack this and find out what Jesus is trying to do to subvert our thinking and build God's culture inside us? Well, let's start at the very end. Jesus says something that doesn't seem to be connected to the riddle at all. He says, when I come back, will I find people who have faith? So what we know, looking at the end of the story, is this story is actually about prayer and faith. Let's hold that in our heads as we move through the story. It starts in a city. What we know about cities rather than villages or towns is they're big, they're impersonal. It's easy for a person to get lost in a city. If this story had happened in a small village, there'd be a ton of people looking after this poor lady. People would have taken her in, they'd have built a granny flat on the side of someone's house. But no, not in a city. In a city you fall through the cracks and you disappear. So this woman is vulnerable. What do we know about the judge? Well, he's bad news. He's doing his own thing. He doesn't care about God or people. He's living with his own morality. It's him that's the key. She's got to go back again and again and again. In this city, he's the one who'll bring her justice. He can help. She needs him. So if this is about prayer and faith, then the image is this vulnerable woman praying to someone who doesn't actually care about her. She keeps going back time and time again until she wears him down. And even then, he only acts not because his heart's breaking for her cause, but because he wants an easy life. I wonder, in what ways are we like that judge? Is there stuff that should be breaking our heart and we've become unbothered by it? Are there people that we see who have a need for justice, but we can't even be bothered to engage with it? What are the needs that we see around us on the news, in the papers, on social media, or literally people we know on our doorstep? And we're just not bothered. We're more bothered about our next takeout, or who's trending on TikTok, or have we got enough money to subscribe to the 4 streaming services we like? Are we going to pay £5 for a coffee but give nothing to charity? Let's not be like that judge, because God's not like him, so we shouldn't be. Then there's the widow. I think sometimes I have thought about God like that, like God's some evil judge watching the world, waiting for us to stuff up, not emotionally attached to us, not understanding our plight. That's not what he's like. In fact, Jesus can say with strong feeling this is not what God is like, because Jesus is God himself. He's so sold out for us that he became one of us. He lived among the same problems that this woman's got, He knows about injustice, violence and rejection. He knows about people trying to bring you down. He knows about feeling like God's not even listening. So, what does Jesus tell us he's looking for? When I return, will I find faith on earth, he says. He's after raising up us as a movement of people across the planet who are full of faith. God understands, he already sees, and he is literally waiting to hear us pray about this stuff. He wants our hearts to break just like his. He wants us to pray and act, and pray and act, and pray more, and act more, and pray more, and act more, and keep that circle going, so he can hear our prayers and see our actions. This is what the parable is about. So what do you think? When Jesus comes back, will he find that kind of faith? Let's be the kind of people who are willing to pray, expecting that we don't have to break God's arm to get him to do things. And let's be the kind of people who believe in a God of love and concern, and we act that out in our own lives. Let's be the people who help others even if it costs us. Let's be faith bringers that this parable is talking about.
That was really helpful, and I really appreciated the visuals. I'm sure many of you have done so too. If you'd like to read through different versions of this story in the Bible, it's in the New Testament, in Luke chapter 18, verses 1 to 8. Now, as mentioned before, we've got a load of questions for you to either focus on as individual or discuss in your groups. And feel free to select ones. You don't have to go through all of them. It's up to you. What stood out to you? Do you view God like the judge? How do you view God? How do you approach prayer? How do you feel about praying? How do you feel about being encouraged to pray and never give up? What changes could you make to help you to pray often and never give up? I hope you found the message and the questions that you focused on helpful. I don't know about you, but this is one of Jesus's riddles, parables, stories, however you want to describe them, that isn't so well known to me. It's not one I've really focused on much before, so I found it especially helpful. I hope you did too. I'm looking forward to the next in the series with Alex Brown next week. And we are so grateful to Alex for being happy for us to share and benefit from these videos he's created. I hope you have a lovely week. Take care. Bye.